文说，对不起。So today I'm going to talk about rivers. Very far from technology, very far from Beijing, something wet instead of something so dry. When I was very young, my parents put me in a boat on the side of the river. That's me under the umbrella. I'm 6 months old. And for my childhood, I grew up along the side of free-flowing rivers. They were our family vacations. I'm in the center of the picture. I think I'm 12. I'm with my 7-year-old sister, and we're playing cowboys and Indians along the banks of the tributary of the Colorado River. And being along the river, being out in nature, being able to play and be with my family in these calm, peaceful places had a profound impact on me. And something happened, and it's controlled the direction of my life, as you'll see. Around the time I was 10, my father came to China at the invitation of the Chinese Academy of Sciences to use rafting as a tool to do geologic research. By about 2008, we had explored most of the rivers draining the Tibetan Plateau, most of the big rivers in western China, the Lansangjiang, the Nujiang, the Changjiang, the Huanghe, also the Yaluzangbu, and many of the tributaries. Not all the rivers had been run by us, they'd been run by other people, but throughout that time, most of the people running those trips had either been scientists or small Western explorers, a very limited group of Chinese explorers, and some scientists. And when I was 19, I started to realize that. I was in a swimming pool in western Sichuan and in Chengdu, and something happened. I was teaching my friends these new friends, how to paddle, just to use the boats. And they said, wow, this is great. This is very exciting. No one in China has the opportunity to do this. We can do all different kinds of other outdoor activities, but for this, enjoying rivers, it's out of the realm of possibility. Can you stay and help us enjoy rivers? And for me, I thought, wow, how is it possible that such a big and important country in the world has no way to enjoy natural rivers? And so my life work was cut out for me. And so normally, I like to ask people as a test, where is this? And what river is it? And it is Hutiaoxia, and most people don't know that it's the Jinsha River. Or if they do, they don't know that it's the mainstream of the Yangtze, which demonstrates, I think, how far away we are from these wild rivers. Now, today I'm just talking about how to enjoy a river. Obviously, the value of rivers, the values of healthy rivers from an environmental perspective are manyfold. I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about is just enjoying them and what it's like to be in touch with them. Because in my mind, unless you can connect with these wild places on a personal level, you can't begin to understand their other benefits. And this is where you start floating on the Jinsha River. In the background, there's a mountain, Yulongxue, and there's another mountain across the river. There's a story, and this area is home to the Naxi ethnicity, and there's a story here where the mountains are related to the river. And the river, the Jinsha River, and the other two rivers in that area, the Lansang and the Nujiang, are sisters in this story, and the mountains are brothers. And originally, the three rivers were all flowing south, and then the brothers were keeping watch over the Jinsha River, who was 就是最调皮的三个姊妹之一， and so Yulong Xueshan was asleep, and Xueshan was supposed to be watching that night, but he got tired and fell asleep. And so the Jinsha River ran off between her brothers and created Tiger Leaping Gorge and ran off to Shanghai. So now we have, as one of the mother rivers of China, we have the Yangtze. Interestingly, the geologic story connects with this too. From a scientific perspective, oddly, as we'll see, there's a connection. So something that's unique about rivers in China is just that there are stories about the landscape. And there's local stories. There's also a lot of very interesting scientific things. So maybe one thing people think about in going down the river is how exciting is this sort of sense of excitement. And it's true, it is exciting to float down a wild river, to be embraced by these big waves, to sort of be out of control, but to kind of be in control, kind of be out of control, but to be moving with this life force of the planet downstream through these deep canyons is a very, very special feeling. And it can be a very challenging experience if you're paddling yourself. But for me, the biggest attraction, and I think the biggest value, is to be able to be just on this quiet water in these very big and wild canyons, and to realize how small you are, to realize that people in nature to realize people's proper place in nature, that they're small, that they're part of nature, that nature is not there for us to conquer. Even just looking at rocks along the side of the river, and to see these formation of rocks, for the rocks to look this way, for the water to have carved them out, to look this beautiful and to have this sort of fluting pattern, may have taken just as long as beings have been alive on this planet. So to sort of realize that there are greater, bigger forces at work than the things we see in our day-to-day lives. And get away from technology to see a place where people live a much simpler life. And this is something where I think rivers in China are very, very unique, is that when you get out to these places, you realize that certainly you're in nature, but also there are people. And you can talk to these people and you can hear stories about the landscape. This village is a Pumi ethnicity village on the banks of the Jinsha. Along the Jinsha, I think there are 6 major ethnic groups and many more smaller ethnic groups. And of course, as you go down the river as you spend time with people together, you have you get away from the computers, you get away from all of this technology, and interaction becomes much simpler. And of course, you see skies, you start to connect with the heavens in a way that would be impossible in the cities anywhere on the planet. You can't see stars like this. And sometimes you wake up to be surprised. We woke up in the morning and there was a herd of goats running through our camp. And I'm not sure if we were more surprised or if the goat herder was more surprised. But anyway, we had a very, very nice talk. And you also realize that you're not the only people on the river. This gentleman is on his way to the market. And as people start to get sort of excited about being together and doing things that normally you wouldn't do as large groups of people, making meals and just doing these simple things, they start to get more intimate, and sometimes very special things happen. These two got married. I cannot personally think of a better cathedral than the cliffs along the Jinsha River as a backdrop for a wedding. And there are places that you can stay. There are places that you can visit. This is the city of Baoshan. It's a 700-year-old city along, it's a Naxi city close to Lijiang. And this is a place where Kublai Khan was on his way, sort of started to endorse the support of the Naxi people to help conquer Dali and in the Song dynasty. And this is a fish, the Jinsha River, and it's the other the tributaries of the Jinsha, the tributaries of the Yangtze, are home to 25 endemic species of fish. So that means fish that only live in the Yangtze, that live nowhere else on the planet. It's a shibazi. Geologically, the reason that these rivers are here, as I was saying before, is actually the theory has it that these three rivers, the Nujiang, the Lancangjiang, and the Yangtze, all used to flow south together to form one river. And that as India pushed into Asia to create the Himalayan mountains and the Tibetan Plateau, the surrounding terrain changed, and sort of the eastern side of the Himalayas squeezed out and to form Southeast Asia, and the rivers separated their paths, and the Yangtze River started to flow east. Of course, the story is very long and much more complicated than that, but the geologic story corresponds with the Nashi story. And as you float along the river, you can see the history of the rocks changing and how they've changed. So these rocks used to be flat, but as this geologic uplift and this change has occurred, they've changed and they've sort of been pressed. Imagine like a fabric sort of being pressed together. So it's like a museum. As you kind of float through the river, you can sort of read the history of this part of the planet. And also in the rocks, there are fossils. This is a crinoid, the stem of a crinoid. It's about 250 million years old. So the history of the planet is recorded in the rocks as you pass by, of life on the planet. But something's been changing along these rivers. This picture was taken in 2008. The first thing that happens, you see, is there's different boats in the river. And these boats are coming along to check the geologic conditions. And the next thing you notice is that originally, where there were nice houses and villages, they've been reduced to rubble, and people have all left and moved away. And this is because the time has come to build dams. The rivers are being dammed. This is Liyuan Dam and Ahai Dam. And from being a natural river to being like this just happens in the course of 1 year, 1.5 years. Most of the investment for all of these projects comes down before you even start to see any change near the side of the river. And soon they look like this. The thing about these dams is that they happen in large groups. So there are mini dams stacked up on each other. And as they start to fill up, these very wild places start to change, and they go underwater. So these bushes here are up here. So the water level has risen very, very high, and it will continue to rise. And where there were once fields also go underwater, and there's less land to farm. And the thing is that this isn't just happening along the Jinsha River. It's happening along the Yangtze River. It's happening along all of the tributaries and all across the river basin. And it's not just happening here. It's happening along the Mekong River and the Salween River and even the Sangpo and the Yellow River. And it's happening all across western China. And I just want to end with a story. This is a petroglyph painted on a rock near Zhugu village. It's a god named Shu, a Nashi god that is supposed to be the brother to humanity. And so both humanity and Shu are born to Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is our mother, Shu is our mother, and Shu is often represented in terms of, it's associated with water. So usually his head is a frog, his body is a fish, and the tail of a snake or something like that. And this story goes that Shu is, that when humans have destroyed the planet, and that Shu will sort of baofu, to sort of create balance. So Su will cause earthquakes, will cause droughts and floods and all of these things that, interestingly, we've seen these last 10 years. And so when you talk to Nashi people, their explanation, of course, of what's happening in the world environmentally is the activities of Shu. And whether or not you believe in Shu, I would ask everyone one question, which is, what kind of future do we want? Do we want a future where we don't have the chance to see our Mother Earth in all of her beauty, to float along the rivers and know where our water comes from? Is that a future that we're willing to accept? And if it's not a future that we're willing to accept, I think there is a balance to be had. We have enough resources at our hands where energy can be met through other ways, where it doesn't need to be strictly, we don't need to dam every river that we have, and indeed it may not be a good idea. So I hope everyone can think about this and can at least know that for the time being, there's still free-flowing rivers in Western China. And if people act, perhaps there will be for our children. Thank you.